Well, if it's not me back again wanting the best for you in your mornings, because I know we've all done this before. We lie in bed and we think about all of the incredible things we're going to accomplish the next day. We're like, we're going to wake up and we're going to not hit snooze. We're going to get up right away and do our workout and make ourselves breakfast, except that never actually happens because first off, we're tired from staying up the night before thinking about all of these things, and we also don't have a great morning routine set in place for ourselves. And that's not really our fault. We've just never been taught how to build a morning routine that can stick with us through all of the craziness of life and actually makes us feel better because it doesn't involve like 50 steps and we feel bad because we can never follow through on it. So if this is something you need, a simple morning routine that you can stick with, that'll set you up for a productive and an exciting and happy day, follow along. I've got everything you need in the Morning Routine Workbook. Now, before I jump in, I want to let you know this framework that I'm about to teach you can really work with any routine, your evening routine, your workout routine. But I start with the morning routine because when we start our day right, it carries through the rest of the day. So this is the most impactful routine that you can start with. But once you have this framework down, you can transfer it to all of the other routines in your life really seamlessly. Your morning routine workbook is really going to cover everything you need to build out this morning routine, including a survey to help get you started and assess where you are right now. It is so important that you start with this first because this gives you a baseline to understand how much you grow after you complete it. If you haven't heard me say it before, you will hear me say it now and probably 100 times after this. If you don't track your growth, it's really hard to see that you're growing and that you're improving. So this simple survey and answering these like 8 questions gives you a really great baseline. So make sure you start with that first before we jump into this activity. In addition, your workbook is going to have things like the habit brainstorm page that'll give you an idea of some incredible habits that you can start or add into your routine. And it'll also have a resource page that goes over all of the resources that you need if you want to expand your research on this topic. But now let's get started. So make sure you have your work page or a pen and paper so you can really make the most and follow along with this video. Now, if you don't have the worksheet and you're just following along, make sure you draw a line down the middle and the line across the paper so you divide it into 4 equal parts. The first part that we're going to focus on is the ideal routine. If you don't know, an ideal routine is just the routine that you're trying to do every day, but you're not doing it every day. This is something, again, that you would ideally like to do, but you're not realistically sticking to it. A lot of things that I see on people's ideal lists aren't necessarily bad either. They usually include things like working out, doing some kind of mindfulness work or meditation, and usually doing something to expand their mind, like reading or listening to a podcast. Now, your ideal routine might look similar to this, but it's probably going to be unique to you because you have your own things that you want to do every morning, and that's fine. Now, once you've identified your ideal routine, I want you to write out what your realistic or what your current morning routine is. Now, if you're not really sure how to write this out, think about what the first thing you do in the morning is. This is even something that maybe you're not doing, like hitting snooze. So you're not getting up, but you are doing something like, again, hitting that snooze button. Or maybe you're getting up first thing and you're checking your phone. I find that these are 2 of the most common ways that people realistically start their morning routine, and this is a totally fine place to start. We don't want to make these things seem like they're bad because there's something that we're going to build off of. Now, again, write out the rest of what your morning routine looks like for you. So what do you do after you check your phone or you hit snooze in the morning? Do you take your dogs out? Do you make yourself coffee? Do you go to the bathroom? Write out a list of what you do in the morning, realistically, most mornings. Now, once you've identified how you start your morning, this is what's called a baseline habit. Now, I know checking your phone is a really common habit for most people to start their morning routine. This makes sense when you understand habits. Because so many of us have our alarms set on our phones, we tend to open our phones first thing in the morning, which usually are loaded with notifications that trigger us to check our phones and start swiping away. Again, this is our baseline habit. Now, like I just said, it's really easy to understand why we have this habit when we understand the habit cue. Like I just said, the first thing that happens in the morning is our alarm goes off, so we open our phones, right? Now, the cue for us to open our phone is the alarm going off. Now that we understand this cue, we actually are able to swap it out with something else to change up our morning routine. Now, this is a great way to change a habit, but you can also look at habit stacking, which I recommend starting with because you're 95% more likely to stick with a new habit when you habit stack it on top of a current habit. So let's say your current habit is checking your phone. If you want to take a habit from your ideal routine, you can take something like, let's say, meditating is something that you want to start. You want to look at doing a habit from your ideal routine because it really proves to you that you are this person that does these things, and it makes it easier for you to start adding these other things in. You already have proof that you can do it. So let's say you're going to habit stack meditating on top of checking your phone. So you check your phone and maybe you have a meditation set up, ready to go when you open your phone on YouTube. And then you meditate while you're in bed. And then you can do a third habit, which I always recommend is something that's rewarding. So if there's something that you do right now, like maybe you get coffee. We all know coffee is so great in the morning. So there's no reason to remove that. Go ahead and give yourself a reward for doing that second habit from your ideal routine. This is really going to make it stick even better. Once you have a habit really set in place, you can come back to your ideal list and start stacking more habits on top. Again, feel free to adjust this. So if you wake up one morning and you have more energy or you have more time, you can stack more habits onto your routine. Then again, if you wake up and you have maybe less time or you just feel like you have less energy that morning, and that's totally fine. You're human. That's going to happen. You use less habits or you just adjust the habits as you have in your ideal routine. So for example, if you wake up one morning and you are super energetic, you can check your phone, you can do your meditation, you can grab your coffee, and you can go do a workout, come back and make yourself a healthy breakfast, and then if time allows it, you can go ahead and read. If you wake up on another day and you don't feel like you have as much energy, you can still check your phone. That's your baseline habit, and that's going to happen every day regardless. That's why it's that baseline. It's going to happen regardless. Then you can meditate and get yourself coffee, and then you can adjust. Maybe you want to go on a walk, or maybe you don't have time. You got to rush off to work. That totally happens. This is how you adjust it, but you still keep a really solid routine for yourself. So try this out. Write out what your ideal routine is. Write out what your realistic routine is. Figure out what your baseline habit and your baseline habit cue is, and then figure out how to habit stack a habit from your ideal routine onto your current baseline habit, and then try and reward yourself with that third habit. Or you can just have a habit that you're already doing immediately after. So this way it just kind of flows into what you're already doing and you're already familiar with. If you have any questions on how to figure out particularly your habit cue, this is always a big one people have questions on, comment your habit below and I can help you walk through what your habit cue is so we can adjust it as needed if you ever want to replace this with a new habit. So again, follow these steps to build a morning routine that's really going to be flexible and something that you can also stick with. And make sure that you use this framework in your other routines as well. It really transfers to, like I said, evening routines, workout routines, and any other routine you have in your life. I am so excited for you to use this, you to start proving to yourself that you are the kind of person that can be consistent, that can make things happen, and can do things that you idealistically want to do. This is such a powerful tool, and I am so excited that you now have access to it.